All right, so our last section for this week is 11.3, part 1. Okay, we'll finish it next week. And this is on slope-intercept form. Okay, so how many people are familiar with like y equals mx plus b? Okay, that's...
We did that like 8:30.
Yeah, you probably did that before, so this is hopefully a review for some of you. All right, so this is just what we're going to do. All right, so this part you could just watch. Okay, so we're going to try writing and graphing equations, and the way we're going to do it is slope-intercept form. Okay, slope-intercept form isn't the only way to do it, but it is probably one of the easiest ways if you have to graph. Okay, so we're going to try writing equations in slope-intercept form, and the key to that is y has to be by itself. Okay, y has to be by itself. Okay, back in section 10, I think it was 10.5, we talked about how to get y by itself, but if you don't remember, we'll talk about that again today. All right, so somebody earlier, I think, told me, what's the equation for slope-intercept form? Y equals what? All right, so yep, in that box right at the top. Okay, put that in it. Y equals mx plus b. If you're not sure what the m and the b are, we're going to do that in 1 second. Okay, but it has to be in that order. Okay, so an example with numbers, y equals 2x minus 4. Okay? That's the correct order. If you had this, although these are the same thing, positive 2x, negative 4, that is not slope-intercept form. You've got to have the number with x first, and then just the number by itself last. Okay? All right, so what do these represent? M. Who knows what M represents? And we did this on Tuesday. Michaela? Okay, I like the idea of y-intercept. We're going to talk about that, but this letter is not the y-intercept. This one's the slope. Okay, so on that line where you guys have M and a blank, you want to fill in slope. Okay, and now B, what's B, Michaela? That's your y-intercept. Okay, if somebody just asked you, like, I don't really know what slope means. Very simply, what is the slope? It describes what? Yeah, this is the steepness. Okay, so slope just measures the steepness. If you're not sure what it is, it's the steepness. What's the y-intercept? That's a big word. Like if you're trying to explain this to someone who is younger, y-intercept. What does that really mean? It's where the line what? Yeah, this is where your line crosses y-axis. Okay, so if you don't remember what these are, you can write that in parentheses below it. If you already know what slope and intercept are, I wouldn't worry about writing it. Okay, but if you're not sure, that's what they are. Okay, does everybody have those two blanks filled in? Slope for M, y-intercept for B. All right. Okay, a couple things that we want to keep in mind as we go through it. Right, and you got a spot on your sheet for this. It says when asked to write an equation given, and then you're going to fill in what's underlined. If you're using the slope and y-intercept, you put the x after the number for the slope. Okay, so let's say I said to you, write an equation of a line that has a slope of 3. Okay? You can't just do this. You have to put an x after the number that's given for the slope. Okay? So that's it. That'd be an equation with a slope of 3. Put an x after the slope. If it had a y-intercept, let's say, you know what? I want you to have a y-intercept of +2. And then we put a +2 on it. Okay, but it's very important you put the x after the number for the slope. Okay, and the next one. It says, when given an equation that is already in slope-intercept form, and you're asked to identify, and then you're going to fill in what's on this line right here. When you're asked to identify the slope, you don't need to include the x when somebody says, what is the slope? All right, so just as an example. Okay, if I said to you, what's the slope here? It's not 5x. The slope, you don't need to include the x when you're asked for the slope. Okay, if somebody just says, what's the slope of that, Victor? All Victor would say, if he was saying it correctly, he'd say slope is 5, not 5x. Okay, the x is just there to tell you the number in front of it is the slope. Okay, so what if I had something like that? What's the slope here? 2. 2. Not 2x, just 2. All right? So sometimes people get thrown off with that. When you write your final answer, this is the correct way to do it. But if somebody just says to you, look at this equation and write down the slope. Slope is just the number 2.
Is that how it's going to be on the test?
Yep. I might give you an equation just like this. In fact, our next example, and I'll put slope, and I'll put a line, and I'll put y-intercept, and I'll put a line. Y-intercept is -4. Slope is 2. Yep, that's how you do this one. Yep. If you put the x with the slope, if you say the slope is 2x, I'm going to mark that wrong. Okay, slope, just a number. Y-intercept, just a number. You're going to be able to use your reference sheet that Mr. Roy's making. Yep, you can use that on the test. All right, any questions? Does everybody have that copy down? All right. All right, so first problem. Okay, it says, write an equation of a line that has a slope of 1/2. Okay, so fill that in. And y-intercept -5. Okay, Ryan, can you remind me, what's that equation I'm plugging into?
Y equals mx plus b.
Right. And the two things you always plug in for, m and b. Okay, that's what we fill in for. All right, so who thinks they can tell me what the equation of the line would be if it has a slope of 1/2 and y-intercept -5? Yeah, Caitlin?
Y equals 1/2 x minus 5.
Yeah. Okay, if the y-intercept is negative, you don't have to write plus -5. I wouldn't mark that wrong, but it's easier to just say -5. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Okay, any questions about that one? You just fill the slope in for m, fill the y-intercept in for b, and you're done. Okay, you don't have to graph it, nothing.
Are we taking a test tomorrow?
Yes. Yep.
How many questions do you need?
The test will probably be somewhere between like 13, 14 questions. So it's pretty, pretty normal length. A few multiple choice, a few short answers.
Your fourth period, do you have a class or no?
Fourth period today, no.
So
Nope.
is there a way I can do it? Because that's when I have direct study.
Yeah, if people have questions, they can stop by then, and I will be after school today too. Yeah, be after school till about 3:30, 3:40 today. Yeah. All right, let's try example 1b. Okay, same directions. Write an equation with the slope -2/3, y-intercept +3. Right, how about Callan? Do you think you can give me the equation that has slope negative 2/3, y-intercept 3? Perfect. That's it, and you're done. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3. Okay, so do you guys have any questions on, if you're given the slope and intercept, how you write the equation of the line? We did that? All right. So example, you know what, we'll get to that one in a second. All right, next type. Okay, to do example 2A and 2B, we got to remember what we did back in section 10.5. Okay, remember we had equations like this? You guys remember that? And Mr. Roy and I said, you got to get y alone. Okay, that's why we had you guys practice that. Because now, you have to do it. You got to get y by itself to do these problems. All right, so we get y by itself. Usually we put it on the left. Okay, and then after the equal sign, we've got our slope, followed by a number with x. And then we have a plus or a minus. That's our y-intercept, okay, at the very end. All right, who could tell me what I would do here? Okay, when it looks like this.
Guys, like it says up there, this isn't on your notes, we're just reviewing it. I don't want to make you guys write it all over again.
What do I do here to get y by itself? Again, we've already gone through it, so let's just review it. Subtract what? All right, I like the idea of subtracting, but if you subtract y, it's not going to get y by itself. Yeah, let's subtract x and x. And now the key, how do we write that on the other side? All right, 3 minus x isn't wrong, but it's not in this order. Can somebody do this and put it in that order for me? Yeah?
Negative 3x.
Can you combine those two?
I mean, no, never mind.
Nope. So they're going to be separate, but I just want them in that order.
So it's negative x plus 3
Yep, and then
times 3.
plus 3. Okay, remember, these are being added and subtracted, so they can't be combined. All right? So y equals negative x plus 3. Okay, the way Corey had said it to start, he said this. This isn't wrong. It's just not in the order we're looking for. Okay, so negative x comes first, positive 3 comes after it. All right, let's try one of these. So now we've got not only the x and the y on the same side, but there's a number attached to the y. Okay. Who can remind me my first step here? Very similar to the first step we just did in the last problem. At least put the x's on the other side. Yeah, Victor?
Subtract negative 6x. Or add.
Okay, you can say subtract negative 6, but subtracting a negative is the same as positive. So why don't we just say add 6x? Add 6x. So that's gone. And who can tell me what's on the right-hand side? Yeah? Good, so Sabrina said it perfect. 6x plus 10. She didn't say 10 plus 6x. Put it in the right order. All right. How about this one? Okay, we'll come back and finish this one in a second. But what would my first step be here? Minus x, minus x. Okay, on the left, you still have that negative with the y. Don't forget about that. What about on the right, though?
9x.
Bless you.
Negative what?
Negative 9x.
Nope, you can't combine these. Negative x plus 9. Okay, keep them separate. Okay, the only way it would be 9x is if you multiplied, but we subtracted. All right? And now the last step, y still isn't by itself. Okay, what's next to y in the first one? 2. Okay, be careful. What's next to y in the second one? What number? Not 1. If you want to squeeze it in there, it's a -1. So now you're going to divide everything by the number attached to y. Okay, and here's what we just said. If all you have is a negative sign, and you want to squeeze in the 1, that's fine. Okay, put in that -1. All right, so 2y equals 6x plus 10. Okay, Sam, what would I divide everything by here? Yeah, we divide everything by 2. That's gone. Davin, what's 6x divided by 2? 3x. All right, and Ariana, 10 divided by 2? 5. Perfect. Is that an equation in y equals mx plus b? You think, yeah, that's perfect. We can see our slope. We can see our y-intercept. If you go back to the original problem, you couldn't really see that the slope was 3 and the y-intercept was 5. Okay, looking at that, you can't really tell. Once you rearrange it, then you can. Right? That's the whole point of doing that. All right, and let's take a look at this one. -1y equals -x plus 9. Zach, can you remind us, how do we get rid of that -1? Yep, divide everything by, which in this case, -1. All right, so the 1's are gone, the negatives are gone. Justin, what's -x divided by -1? Well, what's a negative divided by a negative? What kind of number? Positive. So those cancel out. What's x divided by 1? X. Right? If you want to put 1x, you can. But if you want to just put it as x, that's usually what we'll see it as. Right? And last part, Ryan, +9 divided by -1.
-9.
Nice. -9. And now we have slope-intercept form. Slope, y-intercept. All right. So now you can see where that stuff we did in 10.5 is going to come in handy. Okay? To do an example like that. All right, so this is example 2a. All right, so there's a spot for you to show your work. First thing you want to do
You
is
guys don't have the example, you just have to write it in.
write down your equation. Then we're going to get y by itself. And then after we do that, we're going to write in what m equals and what b equals. All right, who can tell me my first step to get y by itself? First thing I have to do. Corey? Subtract 2 from everything?
2x.
Now, you said from everything. Do we want to do it to everything? No, just each side. Okay, that is a little confusing. When you add and subtract, you do it to sides. When you multiply and divide, like if you wanted to divide by 2 here, you'd have to do it to everything. All right? All right, so that's gone. Okay, and how about, Gage, can you tell me what I'm left with?
3y equals 7.
Careful. Do 9 and 2x like to combine together? Nope. So you can't combine them. You're just going to leave them separate. We just want to put them in the right order. So what comes first? -2x plus 9. Does everyone see why we're not looking for 9 minus 2x? We're looking for that y equals mx plus b. Okay, slope, number with the x first. Y-intercept last. Okay, Alex, am I in y equals mx plus b form? So y is by itself?
Oh, no.
No?
I get 3.
Yeah, and this is the part where I was mentioning to you, Corey. You want to divide by 3? This you have to do everywhere. Okay? All right, so 3 divided by 3, that's gone. And that's basically our final answer. Okay? A lot of times when we rewrite it, you can leave the x in the top like it is now, or you can put it right in the middle. Most of the time, people put it right in the middle. 9 divided by 3. Rose, what can I do with that? Yep, get 3. All right, so I did the first part, right in slope-intercept form. Now they want me to identify 2 things. Okay, so for this part, I'd give you like 1/3 credit. Okay, you did 1/3 of the problem. What's the slope here? Yeah,
-2/3.
perfect. Okay, we talked about not saying the x with it, and that's exactly what he did. How about b? Yep, 3. So everything here, perfect. Okay, you guys got any questions on that one? All right, let me do example 2b, and then we'll look at some other ones after that. All right, so this one's not as bad, okay, because we don't have a number with y. Okay, that's going to make it one less step. What's the only thing I need to do here to get y by itself? Kevin? Yeah, we're just going to subtract 3x. Subtract 3x. Kevin, what does that give me on the left?
Y.
Y? And what's 0 minus 3x?
Just leave it, -3x.
Okay, just leave a negative 3x. That's it. So there's your equation in slope-intercept form.
And when you have to identify, just don't get tripped, that's all.
What's my slope?
3.
Nope.
Close finger.
The slope, where is the slope in the equation? You look, what do you look for? Yeah, how did you know that? Yeah,
This is the variable.
it's right next to the variable. Okay, whatever number's in front of it, that's your slope. Now what about your y-intercept?
0, right?
Good,
Yeah,
0.
doesn't matter.
Anytime you don't see it, it's a 0. If you want to pretend,
Yeah, I was gonna say that, guys, if you put
Plus
plus
zero?
0, you're not wrong.
it's just, if it's plus 0,
Yeah.
we normally don't write it. Okay, any questions on that type? Okay, so on the test, probably 1 or 2 of this type.
You're gonna have to, it's not gonna be set up, you're gonna have to put it in slope-intercept. You're gonna have to move some stuff around.
And it might not be as easy as this.
Yeah.
It might be this
I
type.
think it's, yeah, I think it'll be a 2-step this behavior.
Okay, well, you got it just like
Move and
2a.
Divide.
Yeah,
So you want me to do this?
yeah. All right, so Mr. Roy's going to go through the graphing part. Okay, once you get y by itself, now we can make a picture.
All right, so guys, what was the formula we used for slope-intercept?
Y equals x.
Yeah, exactly. So I think on the back side of you guys have some blanks. Just make sure you fill those in, just to write it down, just so you guys know. Now, in each of these things, we know means something because you talked about that in at the beginning, right? So Ariana D, what does that M stand for? Slope. Now, Tuesday, before we had the day off and everything, and people went and sat around and watched movies all day and watched it rain outside and everything like that, we talked about that slope. What was the ratio? What was the words that we used for slope? Anybody remember? 2 words. Okay, rise over run. We're going to have to use this M, again, that slope, when we graph. Okay? So you get a little arrow on your notes. So we know M stands for slope. You're going to use the rise over the run. If it's positive, we go up. If it's negative, we go down. We talked about that on Tuesday. The bottom number, the run, if it's positive, we go right. If it's negative, we go left. All stuff, again, going back to the stuff that we talked about on Tuesday, but now we got to apply it in a little bit of a different way. Right? So we're gonna need to use that sloping, and like you guys have done a pretty good job of identifying it so far. The last problem that we did, you had to identify what the what the slope was. You guys did a good job of that. We're gonna have to use this again, right? And it'll make more sense when I talk about the next thing. So on there, you know that M means the number with X is always the slope. That's like your little, having that X with it, that's like your little hint to say, yep, okay, this is the slope. Then we have our B. What's the B? Anybody know what the B stands for? You probably talked about that at the beginning. Yeah, like Corey just said, that's the Y-intercept. Can anybody tell me in like non-mathematical terms what that means, the Y-intercept? Anybody know? Exactly, Corey just said it perfectly. Where the line crosses the Y-axis. What's the Y-axis? Someone besides Corey? It's the Y-axis. Yeah, like Gage is saying, up and down, right? Up and down. So, like you guys just told me, B is our Y-intercept. All right, we're gonna when we get it in Y equals mx plus b form, right? Because when we graph, we got to make sure it's in Y equals mx plus b. And I believe both of them tomorrow in the test will be already in that form. And we're not going to get into rearranging it and graphing it until next week. So remember, when you do your graph, you're going to start whatever number is here. That's where you're going to start on the y-axis. You're going to find that number on the y-axis. Then from there, you'll use your slope. Right? So you're going to start here on the y-axis. Right? So find whatever your y-intercept is first, graph it on the y-axis, and then we get it from there. We're not going to go back to the origin. We're not going to go back to 0. From that y-intercept, we're going to do whatever the slope tells us to do. All right? So this is like in a game, right? This is like your starting point, and then think of the slope like you're rolling dice, and whatever you get is the amount you have to go. Okay? Everybody have this? Anybody need a little bit more time? It's okay if you do. Everybody's good? Yes? Hager's going to kill me because this is on video. All right. You guys, if you need that at the end of the lesson, let me know. I don't know if I have anything else on here. No. All right, so those are the two things you need to be able to graph. All right? Let's look at our first example. So on your notes, you have 3a that says graph. You have to write in the equation. So y equals 3 over 4x plus 2.
Then rise over run.
Not yet, though. Alexis, what do we use first here? Where do I start? Let me ask you this question first. Is it already in slope-intercept? Is y by itself? Yeah, so we're not talking about rearrange anything.
You just got to do the 2. You got to find it on the y-axis.
Good. Like Gage just said, find the 2 on the y-axis. Gage, which one is y-axis again? Give me your little note, a little trick. Up and down, right? So am I going down or am I going up?
You're going up.
How many?
2.
Up 2, right? Up 2. I'm going to put my point there. So that's my y-intercept.
Then from there, you're going to graph 3 4.
So from back to the origin or from the 2?
From the 2.
From the 2, where am I going?
Up 3 over 4.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly.
Then you draw your line.
And let's say you want to do it 3 times.
Yeah, you can do it again if you want.
Do it from that point you just graphed. Do it again. 1, 2, 3. Up 3. Up 3. Right 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You can do it as many times as you want.
Now, if you ran into a situation where maybe like if I did this one more time, 1, 2. I can't go anymore. I'm going to go off my graph.
Start from the origin, it goes down 3.
It's not from the origin, but start from your y-intercept again and do the opposite.
Down 3.
Say it, Corey. Go ahead.
Go down 3.
Which way over?
Left.
Right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And end up right on that line. So if you run into a situation where you've used up all your spaces and you're going to go off, go back to your y-intercept and just do the opposite of what the slope tells you. I don't think we'll run into those situations today, okay? So again, we start, here's our start. Put it in green. Right, that's our start, and then we use, so I use the y-intercept to start, and then the slope tells me where to go. Make sure you don't go back to the origin. All right, go from the y-intercept. Okay. Everybody good with this? Okay. Next, we got one more example on there, guys, right? To do. We got a few practice ones. Okay. All right. So on your sheet, same deal. You got the 3b graph. You just have to write in the formula. Not the formula, but the problem or the equation. Right, Justin? Okay. So we got y equals negative 1 over 2x plus 3. So this one, Ryan J, is this already in slope intercept?
Yes,
How come?
because x is before the x is right next to y.
Okay.
Sign.
After the equal sign. Very good. Y is by itself?
Yes.
There's no number with it?
The number.
Thank you, man. Okay.
Actually, I was gonna say there was one, but
How is this one? Obviously, there's different numbers. I know that. But how is this one different from the one we just did? Michaela?
It's a negative.
Exactly. What's a negative? What spot is that in the slope intercept form? What spot is that? Yes. So if this one, the slope is negative. All right? So I know that it's going to be
Still start from the 3 and the y.
it's going to be opposite. Remember, this is a positive slope. It goes up to the right. This one's going to go in the opposite direction. It's going to go down. All right. So, Davin, you think you might know where we're going to start this? Not sure? When we graph, we put it on your notes. We're going to graph slope intercept. Where do we start? At what?
The middle part.
I mean the middle part.
All
All right. We're going to start. We're going to start at the origin, but then go where? Something besides gauge. Where are we going to go now? Up 3, right? Because why? How come?
It's the y-intercept.
It's the y-intercept, right? We're always looking at this. We're always looking at this last number. We're always looking at that last number for where we're going to stop. Whatever this number that has no variable attached, it's just a plain old number, a plain old integer. That's every time. That's where you're going to use the start. Every time. We're going to find that on the y-axis. So I'm going to go, like people have already told me, up 3. 1, 2, 3. That's my y-intercept.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Michaela. Okay. Remember, if I go over 2 to the left, I'm going to go down 1, all right, and then I'm going to go, remember, if I did it that way, I'm still going to have, if I went down 1, left 2, I'm still going to have a positive slope. It's still going to go up to the right. I don't want that because my slope is negative. Here's the trick to this one. When you have a negative in your slope, treat the top as if it's negative. Think of it like this, as if it's negative 1 over 2. So if I think of it like that, Michaela, how would I graph it? I agree with your first part. I agree. I want to go down 1. I agree with that. But from there, where am I going to go? Huh? Am I going to go left or right? To the right. Correct. I'm going to go down 1, right 2. Because now it's dropping down to the right. We have that in your notes from Tuesday. When it drops down to the right, I know it's a negative slope. I can do it one more time too. I can go down 1, right 2. All right, Mr. Hager, I'll let you draw the line because you're really good at that. You're the line drawing expert. So remember the trick to this. When you get a negative slope, I just talked about that. If you get a negative slope, how are we going to graph it? What's the trick? Who can tell me?
Treat the top of it as negative.
Yep, so whenever I have a negative slope, treat the top as negative. So I'm always going down a certain amount, to the right a certain amount, right? I'm not going to do it. I'm never going to go down and left. Never going to do that. Unless for some reason I have to do the opposite. But in this case, it's not going to matter because I go up 1, right 2. All right, so we have a negative slope. Treat the top as if it's negative and the bottom is still positive. Only apply that negative to the top. All right? Because if I did it the other way, if I went down 1, left 2, I'm still going to have a positive slope. I don't want that. All right? Everybody's good with this? Yes? Okay. Homework, guys. I got a few. We got a few test review problems. There's some space on there. You guys are going to do those on. I'm going to do them in a second. Homework tonight: 10-6, 11-1, 11-3 reference sheet. All right. Tomorrow is your first test of second quarter. All right. Tomorrow will be your first test of second quarter. As always, you can use the reference sheet on the test. So the homework for tonight, you can use, just like any other Thursday night, you can use it on the test. Make sure you check the website for the bonus question. Right, there will be one tonight. If you answer it, you get 5. If you get it correct, 5 bonus points, as always. And then we get some practice problems that are going to be similar to what's on the test next. We'll do them together.
All right, so the bonus problem for Algebra 1A test on November 13th. It says a truck driver is driving on the highway and sees a sign that reads 8% grade for the next 2,000 feet. How many feet will the truck drop going down this road? Okay, the hint is that an 8% grade means for every 100 feet the truck travels, it will drop 8. Right, so I want to know how many feet the truck will drop going down this road. If it's a 2,000 foot long road and it's an 8% grade. Okay, so on the test, okay, what we'll do is have you write down your answer to the above problem. The actual problem will not be on the test, so you need to copy down just your answer to this question onto your review sheet. Okay, you will not be allowed to look back in your notes during the test to help you answer this question.